You didn't use Travelocity.
I did not book with Travelocity, okay?
This banana split blast is really good.
Yeah, and it's a good thing because you are driving me.
Cup?
No, that's not a real saying.
Okay.
What's the thing that makes up the blast? What's in the blast?
The strawberries, cherries.
No, you're not driving me cherries. You're not driving me strawberries. You're driving me...
to the movies.
I'm Eric Von Anken, weekend anchor at Local 6, WKMG. You are listening to the Mike Carra Radio Show, Eye on Central Florida.
Well, welcome back to our next segment of this edition of the Mike Carra Radio Show, Eye on Central Florida. We definitely have our eye on Central Florida as we are here at Frank's Place Restaurant and Sports Bar, 146 North Clark Road in beautiful Ocoee, Florida. And if it's happening in Ocoee, it is happening at Frank's Place. And right now, my guest today is Dr. Chris Brouillette, and Chris is a Florida-educated physician, having earned his bachelor's degree in biology from the University of West Florida and his MD from the University of Florida, following a 2-year residency in general surgery at Orlando Regional Medical Center. Dr. Brouillette completed a family medicine residency at Florida Hospital South and is board certified in family medicine. He serves as a clinical assistant professor at Florida State University Medical School, and he is currently a weight loss expert and physician at Nuviva. Is that right?
Nuviva.
Nuviva, got it there. Medical weight loss clinic in Baldwin Park. And Chris, it's such a pleasure and honor you could join me today. And we want to talk, a little bit about what you do and the subject of weight loss, because it is definitely a subject that I know for me, it comes up a lot. And, one thing that I've noticed, again, I don't want to make any comments about, ones we see on TV as far as weight loss. But, I mean, it always seems to me that it's a lot. And I got this, too, when I went to the doctor, where it was like, you're obese, plain and simple. Here's a list of basically what to eat. Here's a cookie cutter formula. And I understand, especially, what you do, where you are, is you don't look at it as weight loss is a cookie cutter thing. You looked at weight loss varies from person to person. And one of the things that you like to do is kind of put people through tests to see, how they react to different things and to develop their plan then.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for having me today. Weight loss is definitely a major part of my practice of medicine, primarily because it is associated with so many various medical problems that many people face, including diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And there are such great benefits in terms of management of these different medical problems that can be accomplished with weight loss, even to a greater extent than the medications that we use.
Oh, okay. And that's the one thing that, we kind of want, clarify a little bit. Not that people can't, visit you and what you do is for cosmetic reasons, but this is, people that really feel, they want to make a difference. They want to improve their health. And, so they turn to a medical doctor like yourself, so they could, see medically what changes they need to make and what food because it's more than just the food. We see Weight Watchers and we see this and that. Oh, eat this food, eat that, but it's a whole combination of factors then.
Right. And, so many of my patients, they come in to see me, and they have often been on some type of weight loss program in the past, and they struggle with getting their weight off. And there is such a plethora of information as to this diet, that diet, what they should be doing, should not be doing, and it creates an air of confusion as to what is the right way to lose weight and how can I do this effectively. I initially gained so much interest in it because I was prescribing one medication after the next to control different medical problems, but realized that if we could help these folks accomplish their weight loss goals, they would not need near as many of the medications that they were taking. So as we developed our our role in helping to guide these patients into weight loss, we then introduced Nuviva medical weight loss in the practice, and that has been a great success for the patient from the patient standpoint.
And that's great, Chris. And, the one thing we always hear, again, is metabolism, because some people use that as an excuse. Some people use that as an opportunity that, my metabolism is good, my metabolism is bad, because a perfect example is the kid in high school that could eat everything in sight, hamburgers, hot dogs, pizzas, and he's like 160 pounds. And then for your 20-year high school reunion, he's about 280 pounds. Didn't change his habits, just that his, body changed. So, those are things, from your standpoint medically that you look at, that sometimes your body's changing, not so much your habits.
Correct. Yeah. As we get older, our metabolism definitely does slow down. And what intuitively we might think as a good diet to be on to help to lose weight, it in fact slows your metabolism even more. So part of our Nuviva weight loss program is to help educate these patients to use the tools, or use foods as tools to help increase their metabolism. We have a structured multi-phase program that executes this strategy.
Right, and so yeah, we're looking at a lot of these particular statistics, and one statistic that we have here that I do want to mention, that 26.6 of adults in Florida were reported as obese, and again, now when we say obese, and again, I will get to this a little bit in our further segments, are we necessarily, sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean fat, that doesn't necessarily mean unhealthy. What is the definition of obese then?
Well, obesity is defined as a body mass index of 30 or greater, and this is a product of height and a person's weight. It is irrespective to their gender, and it's an index essentially of what we use to help define how much fat tissue that person has.
Oh, so those are some of the tests that you want to do right away, because we've heard of this BMI test. I know a lot of times in gym class you do it, but one of the things that you want to do is to do all those tests and know what you're dealing with, and again, not necessarily come up with a cookie cutter approach, but then you've got to know the facts or the statistics to move forward then.
That's correct. We calculate a BMI on every single patient that comes through our office, so it's a pretty simple measurement to attain. And with that, we help to advise folks of how much weight they actually need to lose to approach a more healthy weight for themselves.
And one thing we all know, Chris, is exercise, besides diet, activities, just getting out, meeting with friends. I think people focus too much that the diets have to be a situation where, you've got to lose this weight. But a lot of times, and I've heard a lot of experts like, eat whatever you want, but, exercise a lot. I don't know if that works, but there has to be, a balance between a little bit of all these factors then.
Sure. Exercise is certainly promotes a lot of healthy benefits. However, it unfortunately is not going to replace diet when someone is trying to significantly reduce their weight.
Oh, okay. So that. We mentioned that, you work in the Baldwin Park, and so basically people come to you, on referrals, and we also mentioned that now you're a family practice doctor as well. You mentioned that. So, do people necessarily, are your patients there, and then that you're referred there? Or how do people come to you?
I basically wear two hats. I'm a family practice doctor.
Right.
And actively practice family medicine. Additionally, I oversee the Nuviva Medical Weight Loss Clinic, which is also in our office. So I see patients on a day-to-day basis through the medical practice, and some of those patients of mine enroll in the Nuviva program, but then there are also other patients who have other primary care physicians that come to us for assistance with their weight loss.
Oh, so there's a variety of ways to come to you. Okay, Chris, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back. My guest today is Dr. Chris Brouillette, and you are listening to the Mike Care Radio Show, on Central Florida, here at Frank's Place Restaurant and Sports Bar, 146 North Clark Road in beautiful Ocoee, Florida. And please stay with us for our next segment.
I'm so happy.
I am the big cheese. You might say that I am the Big Mac with cheese.
Hey everybody, I'm weekend meteorologist Elizabeth Hart from Local 6. You are listening to the Mike Cara Radio Show, on Central Florida.
Well, welcome back to our next segment of this edition of the Mike Care Radio Show, on Central Florida. Definitely have our eye on Central Florida, as always, proudly broadcasting from Frank's Place Restaurant and Sports Bar, 146 North Clark Road in beautiful Ocoee, Florida. And if it's happening in Ocoee, it is happening at Frank's Place. And my guest today is Dr. Chris Brouillette. And Chris, we've been talking a little bit about, your role helping people with weight loss, and mentioning that you're, family doctor as well. And as we were kind of talking off the air, that, you probably see a lot of patients with a lot of different symptoms, and you were noticing that how sometimes it always comes back to weight loss, or it always comes back to the fact that people could lose weight, or it's the obesity that's actually affecting their health then.
Yeah, many of the medical problems that I treat seem to always come back to a common point of origin, which is their lifestyle habits, their diet and exercise habits. And, as we alluded to earlier in the show, as we get older, our metabolism slows. And if we have diets that are not quite optimal and have a fairly sedentary lifestyle, then it's very common for us to progressively gain weight to the point where we are then classified as being overweight or obese. And with that comes many of the medical problems that this country faces. I mean, you can almost pick any one you want, anything from diabetes to arthritis. Overweight and obesity also increases your risk for many cancers. So we know that intervention to help reduce a person's body weight has a significant role and benefit in optimizing their overall health.
Okay, Chris, and now I want to ask you this question, which I first heard about it actually at a program at a hospital about doing this, and then I asked a nutritionist, and I got two different answers, and now I want to get a third opinion on this, and here it comes. It's the cheat day. And I'm sure you know about this. You've heard about this, where one day, either a month or, every so often, you go completely off your diet, eat whatever you want, and don't worry about it. And the first guy said, yeah. The nutritionist said, that's not a good idea. And I want to get your take now on that.
Well, in our Nuviva program, we actually recommend a cheat day. And
okay.
It does a couple of things. First of all, when you're sticking to a particular diet, your body gets very adaptive to that diet, and to the point where if you've been losing weight, you can start to reach a plateau. The other thing is that if you're sticking to a diet that is restrictive and is helping you to lose weight, that can be very boring after a while. So we incorporate a cheat day, not only to kind of mix things up a little bit, but to try to keep the body from adapting to the same routine for such a long period of time.
Oh, Oh, so yeah, it's the fact that you get out of routine and helps the metabolism then work stronger. Then
yeah, and it also helps people to learn how to because none of us are perfect, and it also helps people to learn that they can have that celebratory night, if you will, or day or whatever, and then the next day get right back on to whatever their diet prior to that was. So it helps them to learn how to climb back on the horse, so to speak.
And another question I want to ask Chris is about calories, because I saw there's this McDonald's commercial where, I don't know, a fillet of fish is talking to a cup of coffee and this and that, and they're saying, I'm under 400 calories, and that's all well and good, your 400 calories, but then 380 is fat then. So, I mean, is it that we got to look beyond calories? We've got to look what makes up those calories then?
Oh, absolutely. For instance, your body uses more energy to metabolize protein than any other food source. So you burn more calories, or you use more energy to metabolize protein than you do fats and carbs. So in some of our dietary plans, we actually emphasize the use of proteins and certainly reduce the amount of sugar intake that the person consumes.
Oh, so yeah, because I remember, Chris, there was, years ago, there was the fad of the Atkins diet, eat the hamburger, but don't eat the bun. But my thought was that carbs are your friend, and you do need a lot of carbs, like you're saying, don't you, or not necessarily?
Well, the body, of course, needs some carbs, but there's...
But to avoid carbs like that, I don't know. I guess it doesn't hurt.
But most of the foods that we have such great accessibility to are loaded with way more carbs than we'll ever use in a given day.
That's true. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's good to know. And so, yeah, we're talking, and like I said, you do a lot of good work. And like I said, the one thing is the lifestyle. And yes, I am going to bring in the ethnic family traditions into this, because, we're saying that you cheat day is okay, so we could have the Bohemian pork tenderloin and the dumplings and all that. But I mean, I know a lot of times it is difficult when you're making a change. It's for your health, but a lot of times when you have the ethnic meals, it can be hard to try to incorporate keeping tradition with keeping your good health then.
Oh, sure. There's definitely some barriers there. If you've grown up eating certain types of foods, then that's what your palate has learned over the years, and sometimes it's hard to break away from that routine.
Oh, so that's really part of what you try to encourage people is to get out of that routine, because I always joke like I have no desire to eat octopus or no desire to eat lobster, because I never grew up with it. I don't have a desire to eat a lot of these foods because I just don't have the motivation or the passion. And I think that's one of the things that you've got to kind of discover yourself. Same thing with kind of even some addictions is you've got to just not want it. It's just got to like, oh, I don't want that,
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things about the Nuviva program is that our nutrition coaches are very skilled and very good at helping people define some food alternatives that will be useful in their quest for weight loss, and how to make some substitutions for some of the foods that they traditionally eat.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's the one interesting thing that we're talking about is substitutions. And another thing, I guess we'll give some promotion to the Food Network apparently, but there's a show, and I'm sure a lot of our audience know, it's Bobby Dean, who is the son of Paula Dean, and it's Not My Mama's Meals, where basically he takes his mother's meals and he tweaks them, so he takes out a lot of the fat, takes out a lot of the sugar while keeping the taste then. So, I mean, that's kind of what you're trying to encourage too.
Right. We're trying to, help patients identify ways that they can make some substitutions or make some healthier choices or make some alterations to some of the foods that they traditionally eat, such that they're not loaded with the calories and the sugars and all the stuff that just becomes added adipose deposition in their bodies.
Oh, so that's the key there, to try to avoid a lot of these excess sugar and excess salt. And that was another speaking point on our sheet, was about processed foods. And of course, this is very impossible. And one of my goals was to try to stay away from processed foods. But I mean, if you can, it is really a good idea then.
Oh, for sure. There's no better foods than freshly prepared food. The processed foods are typically loaded with salt, and it's not uncommon to find lots of calories in those foods, not to mention the preservatives. So any food that you can prepare at home, any fresh foods like produce and meats, those are always much better for you.
Okay, Chris, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back for our final segment. My guest today is Dr. Chris Brouillette, and you're listening to the Mike Cara Radio Show, on Central Florida, here at Frank's Place Restaurant and Sports Bar, 146 North Clark Road in beautiful Ocoee, Florida. And please stay with us for our very last segment.
Tear the shirt off and seal the deal.
I'm Eric Von Anken, weekend anchor at Local 6 WKMG. You are listening to the Mike Cara Radio Show, on Central Florida.
Welcome back to our final segment of this edition of the Mike Cara Radio Show, on Central Florida. We definitely have our eye on Central Florida, as always, proudly broadcasting from Frank's Place Restaurant and Sports Bar, 146 North Clark Road in beautiful Ocoee, Florida. So if it's happening in Ocoee, it is happening at Frank's Place. And what is happening at Frank's Place is I'm being joined by Dr. Brouillette, who is a family practice physician and also is involved in weight loss and helping patients lose that weight. And Chris, we've been talking, all about different factors. And the one thing that we also want to let people know that it affects, and there's a lot of factors, is the blood sugar and different glucose and sucrose and fructose levels and I don't want to get too much into the high fructose corn syrup. I think because I've done enough shows on that, but I guess we'll just say that blood sugar and sugar in the blood does affect weight and health.
Yeah. What I see in my experience as a family practice doctor is that a person's body weight greatly influences their ability to metabolize sugar, and the majority of adult onset diabetes is directly related to being overweight or obese. And in fact, many of our patients that have gone through the Nuviva medical weight loss program have dramatically reduced their blood sugars as a result of their weight loss. In fact, we've had a number of patients that we've been able to remove every single blood sugar medicine that they're taking as a result of normalizing their blood sugars with their weight loss.
Oh, so that is definitely a factor to keep in mind. And another thing, Chris, we wanted to let everyone know, because sometimes people think, if I'm a certain weight, thin isn't necessarily healthy, or, being, a few pounds doesn't necessarily hurt, because, I know my grandmother would always say, when you saw, the fat, little fat kid running there, she said, oh, he must be healthy. He must be eating good. But I mean, you have to realize that, just because we have an image of, thin or fat, that doesn't necessarily mean health. I mean, it can be, but there's a lot of other factors in that.
Yeah, I think our perspective on what is thin and what's a normal body weight has inflated over time. 50 years ago, the average body weight was much less than it is today. And so over time, we're just accustomed to seeing people that are much heavier. And so from our perspective, what is considered to be a normal body weight is artificially elevated. I have so many patients that when I tell them they're overweight or obese, they're a little bit confused at first because they have always been told that they look like they have a normal weight. And when the fact is that they've actually become an unhealthy weight. So it's an eye-opening experience for many of them.
Right, and again, we also, I just want to quickly, touch on the topic of athletes. And I remember, the last Olympics, not so much this one, with Michael Phelps. And he was eating like, bowls of spaghetti and pizzas and hot dogs. But he felt that he was, swimming for 6 hours a day. He couldn't just eat rice cakes or granola or whatever. I mean, he needed all that protein. So, I mean, that's one thing that people, and I'm sure you encourage with what you do, is if people are doing exercising, they've got to realize that your body needs fuel, that the food is the fuel, and when you're doing exercising like that, you might need more, and when you're not exercising like that, you might not need all those pizzas.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a big difference between a Michael Phelps and the guy that's working at a bank or does IT work or some other profession. Michael Phelps is training, 40 plus hours a week, which is burning an incredible amount of calories. And many of us just don't even burn a fraction of that in our daily lives. So therefore, we obviously need very much less calories.
Yeah, and we were talking off the air, Chris, if there was necessarily a test, well, the one thing that people can do is get this BMI test and find out if, they are obese. But, I mean, as far as beyond that, I mean, well, again, what you do, is run these different tests to see the initial health. So, I mean, again, we come back to the fact where somebody looks a certain way, you can't just make a determination per se with how they look or make a diagnosis then. Maybe somebody can look a little heavier or a little thinner, be in good health. That's why you've got to run these tests then.
Yeah, what we do our practice is an initial evaluation and some screening labs, which also includes checking their blood pressure, checking their blood sugars, their cholesterol. And if any of those factors are abnormal, then I sit down with those patients and we look at all the results and develop an intervention plan. And that plan may include anything from just trying to improve the diet, increasing exercise, weight loss. It may include the addition of medications, even from the onset. But with each of my patients, our ultimate goal is try to optimize their health such that they can be medication-free at some point.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that is one of the goals, because so essentially, Chris, I'm getting the idea that all these problems can be related to the obesity. So by eliminating then these particular problems, by working out and losing the weight and getting going through these weight loss processes, then there's no longer these problems. It's all interconnected. So we could say that literally taking care of your health includes, watching your weight, watching what you eat, and your whole lifestyle.
Yeah, and certainly practicing great lifestyle habits doesn't guarantee you complete elimination of medications, because there's obviously some genetic factors that can come into play, but it substantially reduces the need, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. We're just trying to optimize everything by using all the tools and resources that we have, and lifestyle habits and weight loss is such an obvious one, but one that I don't think is emphasized near enough in this country.
Oh, okay, Chris. And we also want to let everyone know that you have a website for Nuviva. There, I got it. Yeah, and we'll let everyone know that there's a lot of different locations. And if somebody is interested in, you yourself are taking new patients. Of course, I'm sure the whole, company and the whole office, they're all professionals. But I mean, if somebody would like to speak directly to you, you're available as well.
Absolutely. My medical practice is always accepting new patients. The Nuviva clinic in the Baldwin Park office and now at Lake Mary is also always eager to provide a free consultation to anyone who may have an interest in learning more about the program.
Oh, okay. So people could check out the website. So let's see here. You have a website. We're saying for the weight loss, and now do you have a website for your family practice?
Yes. The website for the family practice is www.paof.com. It's Physicians Associates of Florida.com. And Nuviva is www.nuvivamedicalweightloss.com.
Okay, Chris, we really appreciate you stopping by. We're so blessed today. So finally, any final thoughts or any conclusions or any thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with? I guess one thing would be that not to get depressed, not to get worried, that there's always solutions to these sort of problems, and sometimes everything is interconnected. So you have any final thoughts for us?
Weight loss can be a frustrating experience. Dealing with various medical problems can be often a frustrating experience. But every member of the staff at my office is eager to help people negotiate those various obstacles, and with a little bit of commitment and some good direction, success is easily attainable.
Okay, my guest has been Dr. Chris Brouillette, and you've been listening to the Mike Care Radio Show, Eye on Central Florida, here at Frank's Place Restaurant and Sports Bar, 146 North Clark Road in beautiful Ocoee, Florida. If it's happening in Ocoee, it is happening at Frank's Place. And please catch us again next time